Welcome to the Pod Luck Podcast, a conversation podcast about the intersection of culture and faith. We're so happy that you're joining us again on this journey. If you've been with us for the full time, thank you so much for being an early supporter. If you jumped on recently, welcome. We're so happy to have you, and we hope that you enjoy this podcast. My name is Jason Kim, and I am joined, as always, by my co-host, Chris Chong. Chris, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How's everybody doing out there? I hope you're having a nice summer so far. I know that some parts of the country, like where I'm at right now, it's pretty cool and it's nice. And I think where Jason is, it's hot and humid and he's very sweaty right now.
Yeah, so we're recording this right after East Coast camp meeting. This will be airing much after, and so East Coast camp meeting again is in Pittsburgh, and then I grew up in Maryland, which is only 3 hours away, and so we came down to spend some time with my family. And so I'm in the DC area, and today is the coolest of the next 3 days, and it was 103 degrees today, which, like, now that I live in Southern California, 100 degrees isn't like that crazy. But it's really humid, so it's significantly worse to have 100-degree weather in the East Coast. And today was the day I dragged my family out to DC. So we took the metro down. There was a pop-up that I really wanted to go.
What kind of a pop-up?
So for those of you who may or may not know, the NBA draft happened as of recording a few weeks ago, as of airtime, like months ago. And my team, the Washington Wizards, we had the first pick. And so we drafted this guy right here. And so they had a pop-up for this jersey.
Oh, okay.
So I dragged my family to DC in 100-degree weather to be one of the first people to get this jersey.
Oh, well, congratulations.
Thank you. It was worth it for me. I don't know. My kids love the train. It was hot. My oldest stopped walking at one point and just started crying. That was fun.
You know what, though? Like, difficult experiences are memorable.
It is. I'm going to tell them, you were at the heat wave of the East Coast. I imagine this is going to be talked about because it really is significantly
like a historic heat wave right now.
I think so.
It's associated with that jersey that you have in your possessions and that you are wearing, and there's a story attached to it, which is great.
Yeah. Hopefully, when we win the championship, I can be like, "Hey, you were in DC at the hottest day of the summer to get the jersey."
Yeah, that's cool. Hey, I had a question. So I don't know if DC is different right now because it is, as we're recording this, like almost July 4th. Mm-hmm. And it is the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Mm-hmm. So, is it different?
Like atmosphere or visually?
I guess both.
Oh,
do they have extra stuff? Is it extra special?
The answer to both is no.
Okay.
Atmosphere-wise, it doesn't feel any different. Granted, I didn't go into the National Mall where the fair is happening. We were just in this place called Chinatown. That's where the arena is. But we were on the metro, which takes you into the National Mall. I mean, there was nothing to really indicate it's the 250th.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really hot, and based on kind of the social media I've seen so far, not a lot of people out there.
Yeah, nobody wants to be outside in that weather. Were there a lot of people at the pop-up, though?
No. It was just me.
You're a true fan. I mean, we all know you are a true fan, truly committed to your teams. Your loyalty dies hard. We all know that, man.
I mean, if I lived here, I would not have gone to the pop-up. I would have just waited. But because I live in California, I didn't want to pay for the shipping and all that. Plus it was
That's
a
fair.
pop-up. I thought it'd be cool. It was not. It's just the store, but outside the store. Because the
Well, you-
arena is going through renovation, so it's closed.
I see.
Yeah.
Well, you got it. Good job. And your family is probably going to be okay.
Yeah. But we wanted to use this to kind of kickstart into the conversation we want to have today, which we're going to start by talking about pickleball. But we want to talk about the larger topic of like sports as a ministry. And we're going to talk about specifically kind of these larger tournaments, right? So both camp meetings will have passed by the time you hear this. Both camp meetings, East and West, there are basketball tournaments, there's volleyball tournaments, pickleball tournaments. In Southern California, we have softball tournaments. And so we just want to talk about those events and how, or if they aid in ministry or hinder ministry. And so we have our resident pickleball lover and the person who is so obsessed with pickleball that they miss games and all these crazy things. So Chris, tell us about pickleball.
Yeah. So this episode kind of is my idea.
It was
we're talk-
100% your idea.
Okay, it's my idea. Not because I enjoy playing pickleball. I wanted to talk about it because this podcast is about culture, faith, and the Korean American experience. And pickleball is, I think, and I will make the point today, it is all three things. It has three elements. So it is a part of culture, it is a part of the Korean American Adventist experience, but I also think that there is a faith element to pickleball. And when I first started playing, I didn't like pickleball, actually. My first thoughts were, this is not very satisfying. Like, tennis is more fun. Golf is more fun. I'd rather be playing tennis and golf. But then I just started playing more, and there's an element of like everyone's playing, so like you should just try it. And I generally have been kind of like, I kind of push back against those kinds of trends for whatever reason. Like I don't want to do, like everyone's doing it, so I don't really want to do it. But I got into it, I started playing, and it turns out it's actually really fun. And so many people play, like so many people at our church play. Wherever you're listening, I bet you there are tons of people at your church playing. Some churches are really good. For example, like Sacramento Church is like cracked at pickleball, apparently. Loma Linda people are really good. I believe our people at Rock are probably the best, though. And I believe at this moment, so we're recording this before the tournaments, but I believe our Rock teams will win the tournament. And so we shall see. But yeah, it's a big thing. It's a big thing in the church. It's also a big thing just like in the world, like internationally. Pickleball is really big in Southeast Asia, is what I hear, in the Philippines. It's not as big in Korea, actually. It started in the Northwest. It was invented and created in Washington. And I don't know if it still is, but for a while it was like the fastest growing sport. Tennis courts are being converted to pickleball courts. Indoor pickleball courts are popping up everywhere. And yeah, it's like super fun. Jason, my question for you is, how come you haven't played? And why do you hate pickleball?
I've had no opportunity to play. That's not true. I've had a
That is
handful
not
of
true.
opportunities to play.
That is not true because we had the last two pastors' meetings, we had pickleball as an activity. And last one, we were kind of busy. The one before that, I think you just didn't want to play.
No, the first year in Palm Springs, we were definitely busy.
Oh, we
The
were?
last one, I think we could have played. But I think I needed to charge my car or something like
Right.
that.
Anyway, so what is your thought as like a non-pickleball person about pickleball?
So I generally am not good at any sport that requires like the technique of turning your body. So tennis, golf, pickleball, softball / baseball, anything that requires good technique to like turn your body and your arms, I'm not very good at. That's probably the main reason I don't play. I've been told pickleball is very beginner friendly, but my psyche is such that I have a very, I have for whatever reason a very high expectation of myself athletically, and when I don't meet that expectation, I get frustrated. And so you've seen it happen on the golf course where I will chunk a shot and I'll get really angry, which in a vacuum is not weird. Lots of people get upset when they chunk a shot. But as you've said to me many times to my face, I'm not good enough at golf to be this angry when I'm not good. And I think that encompasses my feeling. I don't want to play pickleball because I'll be really bad at it. And I'm going to get very frustrated that I'm so bad at it.
I see. So, what I want to say about pickleball is I've been thinking about this. And I think pickleball is the most Christian sport out there. Okay?
Okay, sure. Yeah. Okay.
And what I mean by that, and I mean something very specific. I mean very specifically that pickleball is the sport with the most grace. It is the most gracious sport. It is the sport that wants you to do well. Like other sports, like golf wants you to be bad. There is no margin for error in golf. The margins are razor thin in golf. Like if you hit something 2 degrees off, it'll affect everything. Mm-hmm. If you hit something 2 inches behind, 1 inch behind, it changes things. Like every tiny little thing. I think tennis is also probably like that. It's a very difficult sport. It's physically difficult, but in terms of form. But pickleball is so gracious. Like the sweet spot of the paddle is like this big. Like you can hit anywhere in the paddle. And yes, like there are parts that are not good and the center is better. But like you can get away with, there's so much forgiveness. There is so much forgiveness in pickleball. Like in terms of like the stroke and hitting it. The court is not that big. You don't generally have to run that much. It's not like tennis. You're not running around everywhere. I mean, it's a lot of stop and go. But it is the most, like you said, beginner-friendly sport. Like the people who generally see themselves as unathletic and not interested in sports, they really like it. Case in point, my wife, who's like does not play anything and has never been interested in any sport, she actually really likes it. She wanted a paddle for Christmas. Like that's what she wanted, like, and I joked that like pickleball performs miraculous things because it takes people who have no desire for anything athletic, no desire for sports, to like they get super into it. Like you could never guess that, this kind of person who never plays any sport would get really into it. And so like it's pretty amazing how people have changed because of it. I've seen people who like couples who never do anything together, they find pickleball and they do it together, and it like helps their relationship. And like, so it is a part of culture. It is a part of the Korean Adventist experience, but there's a faith element in that it is like the most gracious sport out there. So Jason, like I believe in you, man. You could play. I think you'll enjoy it. Like it's actually to like, and the cool thing about pickleball is what people tell me. I'm actually not very good. But the rate at which you improve is like, it's so fast. You can get better really fast. Like you get better in real time. Like you can feel and see yourself getting better really quickly. And that's like super fun. So Jason, hey man, give it a shot. Give it a shot.
I mean, the other thing too is like, I just have no opportunity to play. I mean, the church that I attend now, they are getting into pickleball. There happens to be a pickleball court really close to where the church is. I think that's the gym they use. It's just, with young kids, it's harder to go out and play. Like I can play once in a while, but again, that kind of goes back to I can't play enough to like get better.
Yeah. I get that.
Yeah.
And there is a downside to your situation. Because I've said this all, that it's like so gracious and like anybody can play. Like if you played and
Yeah.
you sucked at it,
Yeah.
you're gonna get
Yeah.
really, really frustrated
Yeah.
and really mad, and you'll probably get mad at me, and you'll probably go on the podcast and blast me on the record and be
Absolutely.
like, "Why did you tell me to do this? You're ruining my life, Chris." You know?
Yeah, I would feel less Christian because it's apparently the most Christian thing you can do. And if I'm bad at it, I guess I'm bad at being a Christian.
That's not
All
what I
those
said.
things.
But no, so like the tournament is coming up, and I wasn't sure if I was gonna play in it, and I recently was able to find a partner, and so like I'm pretty excited to play in it. I've never we played in like a church one that we just put together, and I got crushed. But you know, I've improved, so I'm really looking forward to it. I hear a lot of people are playing. It's a really popular thing. I think last year was pretty fun. So this is the second year that camp meeting is doing. Does East Coast camp meeting? Do they have anything
East
like
Coast,
this?
there was a pickleball tournament. They didn't announce the winner at closing ceremony because they announced it at the time, so I don't know who won. I don't know the specifics. It's really funny because at East Coast, again, we're at a public university, and so I don't know if it was like East Coast Cat Meeting that did this or if it was like students, but there's these like random pickleball courts everywhere. When I say courts, I mean like you'll walk into a building and in the corner there's like taped off like pickleball thing. Or like you'll go to the gym and there's like 4 pickleball courts in the parking lot and then one like by the
crazy.
swimming pool. So there's these like
Yeah.
makeshift pickleball courts everywhere, which I think that's how East Coast ran their tournament. It was kind of World Cup style, where like they had groups at
find
all
the
these
court.
different. Yeah,
Go to the parking lot G
yeah,
and play in that court, and then tell
yeah.
us
That's your
who
group,
won.
and then they advance.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I mean, that just speaks to the phenomenon. Like, it's kind of taken over, and it's like
Sure.
it's spread, and there's obviously money in it right now, and so, yeah, people are really into it. You see people of all ages and people of all ethnicities, and like people playing. It's pretty cool. It's like it's a sport that brings people together, man.
So let me ask you a question. You said you had a hard time finding a partner. Let's say you couldn't find a partner, and I said I will be your partner. Would you have accepted?
Yeah, I would have.
Oh,
100%.
how gracious!
100%. If you're like, hey, I kind of want to play in the tournament. You want to play with me? And if I didn't have a partner, I'd be like, yeah, let's do it.
All right. Well, this
Were you expecting me to say no?
I was actually.
You're teeing up something so I could say no, and then you can like, see, he's so mean to me, huh? That's what
No,
you're
I
trying
wouldn't
to
have
do, right?
gone that. I would have just. Yeah.
Okay.
I was
Okay.
surprised that you said yes.
But too bad I don't have a partner.
Not that I was going to, as a hypothetical. I would never start my first pickleball experience at a tournament.
Yeah, that's true. That's actually a really bad idea. Because like I don't know how fun it would be. It would just like
No,
never playing.
yeah.
Unless maybe you are a prodigy.
No,
Because having the height and the length that you have would be such an asset.
so people keep saying that when I was learning how to play tennis with like the SoCal pastors. They're like, "Oh, Jason, you're so tall. Your serves would be great," and they weren't. In golf, they're all like, "Oh, you can generate so much power." I can't.
Because those
So-
sports are hard. Pickleball is so much easier.
Yeah, if you say so. But yeah, we want to springboard this into kind of a larger topic of sports as ministry. And so, we're talking about the tournaments in camp meeting, pickleball included, basketball, volleyball. I don't know if there's any other sports that we include. So in your experience, Chris, like, what is your feeling on sports and like ministry, sports tournaments and ministry?
Sports tournaments and ministry, specifically
so-
tournaments.
Right, these larger, camp meeting tournaments, SoCal tournaments, things like that.
So the purpose is always to bring people together and build community through sports. I would say that's probably the purpose, right? And it's a great opportunity to engage people who otherwise would not be that engaged in the church. Like, I think you're going to speak on this, but like we've had some tournaments where like people who used to go to church and don't anymore, they'll show up for the tournament, which is like, is really cool, and it's really cool, and it's an opportunity for them to like get to know people or like connect with old church friends. And I think the hope in that is like you'll come and have a good time and build some relationships, and that could be the jumping off point for someone returning back to church or being interested in faith once again. So I think in that purpose and that goal is like an incredibly noble and worthwhile goal to work towards. I think there are two sides to the coin of tournaments, obviously. So like when that happens, that's really great. But the flip side is that people come to win a tournament where everyone is not as good at that sport as they are.
Okay.
Where the tournament itself is the most important thing, and so like those relationships may not form because they're not there for that. Therefore, they're to win, because they love the sport or whatever. And obviously, like depending on the sport with competition, there's a healthy level of competition, but there's an unhealthy level of competition that you could easily cross into. Especially when it's a physical sport like basketball or football or something, people get hurt. I think basketball tournament is the one that we've seen historically cause the most friction and like anger and fights. And so that's why, that's not why we stopped doing it at West Coast. We stopped doing it because people just weren't that interested anymore in basketball. But there was always a question, should we have basketball tournament? Should we have a basketball tournament? People are getting mad. People get into fights, and like, is this worth it? Is it not moving towards the goals that we originally set for these tournaments? So like anything, there's pros and cons. I know that you had knowledge of a very specific experience with some of the negative aspects of sports tournaments in church and ministry.
Yeah, not just knowledge, firsthand experience. Same thing on the East Coast. Growing up, there was always a basketball tournament. And we kind of briefly mentioned it in I think it was our church history podcast where we talked about like camp meeting as gangs of like churches.
Yeah.
And at least on the East Coast, like the the gang quote warfare would happen on the basketball court because you are representing your church. And on the East Coast, it was actually more of your region, right? So Maryland, New York, Detroit, Chicago, Atlanta, Florida, and so it would get pretty heated. It never got super bad. It was always like bad enough where we would like talk about it, but not bad enough to just outright cancel it. Until one year, so it was the finals. So it was to win the championship game. It was actually, that year there were two Maryland teams and they were playing each other in the finals. So it was Spencerville and Baltimore. So I was playing for Spencerville. Baltimore was the other church. And
you were playing in this game?
I was playing in the game. Oh. The thing is we used to play every Thursday at Spencerville Church. Baltimore would come. And so it was never like, we're like friends. We're friendly. Like we all know each other. We play every week. So it was never bad. It was just... The format was two halves, and the first half ended, and the head ref, who was not a ref, he was one of the high school department coordinators. He called the score, and the Baltimore team were contesting that that's not the actual score.
This is at the end of the game?
End of the half.
Oh, end of the half. Okay. Sorry.
Yeah, and so there's like a lot of back and forth, and like the rule that was agreed upon, when we started the tournament was, the referee is final. He has final say. And so the ref is like, no, like the score is not 10-9, it's 10-8. And so he went to inform like the table ref, and someone on the other team got angry and tried to rush the ref because he thought he was disrespecting him by turning his back towards him. And, because the whole team's just kind of gathered because we're like arguing. And he rushes him. So everyone's like grabbing this guy. And he's a pretty strong guy. And we're like grabbing him. And, Jonathan Henderson?
Yeah.
he was our speaker for the week, and he was in the tournament, and I think he was one of the refs, and he had to like hold him back. And so
he's a big dude.
He's a big dude. So
strong
he's
guy,
actually the reason he didn't go free. Because if it was just the team, I think he would have broken free.
This guy was like on a rampage.
Yeah, it was like a. Yeah, it was definitely. It was so bizarre. I remember because Jonathan Henderson, he grabbed him, and then he was able to push him back to the wall of the gym, and he was like talking to him, and there's like literal fury in his eyes as Jonathan Henderson talking to him, and I'm trying to make sure we're okay. By that point, we canceled the rest of the tournament. It just the game ended. And then the guy walks in, has this like big smile on his face, and he's just like, "Good game, everyone. Good job." And he like comes to me,
the guy who rushed and was like furious.
Yeah. And he like gives me a hug, like, "Hey man, good game. Like, oh, we'll finish it when we go back home." And I was like, "Bro, you are an insane person." So that's how we won quote that tournament.
Oh, so you won though because
we ended the game at the half and we were up
because they ruined the whole thing.
Yeah, and then we hadn't had a basketball tournament since. When I was at East Coast this past time, they did have a basketball tournament on Saturday night, and I don't know how much of a tournament it was. If it was like an actual tournament or just, you get teams and you run. But yeah, that was definitely an eye opener.
Yeah, that's pretty bad.
At least.
Yeah, I in my time at West Coast Camp Meeting, I mean, there's always something, but I've never seen anything like that.
Yeah, and I think that's what it's always something enough to have the conversation of like, should we? But never, at some point we're like, no, we should still have it. But this was like unanimous, like, okay, we're shutting this thing down. No more basketball tournament.
Yeah, that's wild. That's wild. What I wonder about is like the effectiveness, the ministry effectiveness of these tournaments. And like in your mind, have you seen, I don't know, like I kind of stated what I thought is the goal. Like, would you agree that that's the goal?
Yeah, I think for camp meetings specifically, yes, that's the overarching goal, right? You want people to come together. You want, when you are in a team and you like succeed at something, it brings the team together really well. And even for us, like we would practice for the tournament, and so we get together frequently. And there is a camaraderie, there is like a kinship, there is a connection. That's one of the team sports.
You're like working together for a goal.
Right.
Like that's all the sports movies, right? With teams, right? You're people who are different and like they get past their different because they're working all together to win the championship or whatever.
Yeah, and I think most teams knew we want to win. We're all very competitive, but like this is not NBA Finals. This is not the Olympics. This is a ethnic Adventist regional basketball tournament.
Yeah.
It's not that big of a deal. I think we all kind of knew that. And like you said, the people who don't understand that, I think that's when it goes up.
I see. Like understand its place in the world and within our lives and within camp meeting and our church.
Yeah, even West Coast, I remember there was one basketball tournament where it was getting kind of chippy between the team I was playing on and another team. Maybe the problem is me.
That is the common denominator. It's your fiery red hair.
But even then, it never escalated because I think both teams kind of knew, like, okay, there's like a little bit of, there was a little bit of trash talking from the other team, but I think we all knew that person just is kind of like that. And we didn't escalate it because it's like, all right, like, chill. It's West Coast Camp Meeting basketball tournament. Like, let's just calm down. But yeah, if either side kind of didn't have that perspective, it could have, I feel like, escalated.
So another one of the big tournaments that takes place is the SoCal softball tournament. Does that still happen yearly?
It is. We took a break a little bit, but it's come back. We had one this past year, and then we're going to have one this upcoming year.
Okay. Okay. And I mean, that one's generally much more friendly because there's no actual physical contact like between the
Yeah,
teams, right? Like, would you say it's just the nature of the sport, like in basketball, kind of like can create those, tense moments, and
you
the nature of
can.
softball is different?
It definitely is. Basketball can get very physical. That's actually my discomfort with playing basketball with new people is the way I learned how to play basketball. It it has to be physical, not like hard, but like the position I play and the part of the court I play in. There's just a lot of bodies, and so if it's someone I never met before, it is a little awkward. I don't want to be in that position.
Yeah.
Softball is not. I mean, there's even the pitcher is your team. No one's trying to get you out.
Right.
They're
Self
trying to
pitch, right?
self pitch, right? That's not to say that little things haven't flared up once in a while, but the thing is, it's always the same people, and you know who those people are, and so now I think at this point there's this level of like, okay, it's just so and so being so and so, and the team that they play on, they also know, so they intervene a little bit quickly too. So
I
I think
see.
that helps.
So I have a question for you. You've been in pastoral roles and
Mm-hmm.
have gone to these things as a team, and I do think that one of the goals and hopes is that it'll draw people who are
Mm-hmm.
not normally in the church, or you could like invite a friend and whatnot. Um, did you ever? Well, I guess have you seen that happen where you did that or the team did that and it did like lead someone back to some degree into the church or into community? Like, have you ever seen that happen in your ministry, in what you've experienced?
Kind of. I don't know if anyone's ever fully come back to church because of it, at least from the churches I've been at. But in the softball tournament, LA Central used to take it pretty seriously. I think more so before I got there. I think during the time of when you were a member and pastoring. But by the time I got to LA Central, a lot of that core group had moved to different places. But they would fly back for the softball tournament.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, I do remember that would happen.
Yeah. And so from the other church's perspective, people would accuse us of like bringing in like ringers or like, we're trying to cheat because we're taking people who are not members. And I'd always be like, no, these are former members. And for me, yeah, at first, I remember the first year I was like, it's kind of weird that we're like, have people fly in for the tournament. Like, it's a bit much. But then I started, and this is actually a credit because my wife grew up in the church. So these are her friends coming back. And so that helped me connect with them. And it became really cool because we would develop a relationship. And I don't see them during the year because they live in, different parts of the West Coast. But during softball tournaments, we'd always get together and we would hang out. I remember one person, we actually ended up playing golf after the tournament because we were like talking and things like that. So those relationships happen because of the softball tournament, which for me, I was like, that's awesome.
Yeah, that actually is really cool.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, man. I kind of struggled with it, not because I think what you said is really cool. These people moved away. They're still connected to the church. They come back and they're part of it. And like, I would be like, yeah, they should play on the team for sure. I think I had an issue because there were people who grew up in the church who left and they live there, but they never come to church,
Right.
but they only show up for
Tournament.
softball tournament, right? And so, like, I think I kind of struggled because there's a part of me is like, I'm glad they're coming and like we're able to connect in some way. And we would like hold practices and they would come to those practices, which is like, that's cool. And like, because normally we wouldn't be able to meet up. But like, there was also a part of me is like, you never come for anything other than this. And I don't know, as I'm saying it right now, it's like, Chris, you should just be happy that they showed up for the practice. But I will say, like, when I was in ministry, I was a little bit conflicted in that, like, you do live here. You don't come to church. You technically, like, you kind of are a ringer, like,
Right.
You're someone we know who's really good, but you never actually come to church. So I struggle with it, and I never like said anything. I never did anything about it. Like the way we did it when I was there is we had A team and B team,
Yeah.
or like what they were also known as like the serious team and the for fun team. And I would always play on the fun team. And I realized though on my part, like I'm not a very competitive person, meaning like I don't really care that much about winning these kinds of things. And that actually made it less fun for people. Because I'm kind of like, oh, who cares? Like, oh, whatever. Like, we're just here to have fun. But like trying to win and trying to do well is actually part of what makes it really enjoyable and gives you a sense of accomplishment when you come together. Even if you didn't win, but like everyone tried hard. But like, I would put people who like never played before, like ever. And like they didn't really interested in playing, but I was like, hey, come on, just play with us. Like just cause. So I don't know. Like I do think they have value. I think these tournaments do what they are supposed to do in terms of bringing everyone together. So like I'm all for these tournaments. I think I would more highly value though when it comes to like a sports ministry is not a tournament, but church people going to places and playing these sports and engaging with the community in these sports. If you know what I mean.
Yeah. No,
So
I totally get what you mean.
Not necessarily hosting a tournament for our church, which we have done, but like right now, a lot of our members, and I'm sure this is happening all over our churches, like they're part of pickleball gyms. And then you meet tons of people. And these are just people that you would never meet. And it's a great opportunity to connect and invite to church, to small group, or to whatever, right? Like it's another very organic way to build a friendship and to care about people outside the church. Like you'll probably make more friends than you have. You'll make more friends doing a sport with other people than just like doing nothing, And so people have invited people to church. They've come to church, and I've gotten to know them. And so like I think that's really awesome. Like I think every church should, like if you have a group of friends who are really into some sport, like you guys should engage in that in the community. I think that's a really great outreach opportunity.
No, that's a great idea that never even crossed my mind. Join like your local rec league as a team. I wish I had that idea when I was in LA because it would have been so much fun to just join like a local, softball rec league as a team and meet new people. My old roommate Brian used to just play in these like random rec leagues.
Yeah.
Which, like that would have been a great way. And yeah, that's a really good idea. Pickleball.
It's really,
mentioned.
it's really awesome. And like a couple guys have come. Like there's one guy who's interested in Bible study. He wants to talk to me about stuff. And then our other members are telling me, hey, there's this other guy I'm trying to invite. There's this person that I think would love our church. So like, pray for them. And they see them regularly. They see them weekly, sometimes multiple times a week. They build friendships. And it's not just pickleball. Like we have a big tennis group here, and tennis is kind of the same thing. They've invited them to events. And I think what it's great about it is just it's very natural. It's not go knock on doors and like invite them, like people you don't know or have like no relationship with. It's people you have naturally bonded with through the sport, and you share another thing that you love with them, and this thing happens to be church and Jesus, So that kind of sports ministry I think is really valuable, and it's like it's not hard, it's fun. People enjoy that part.
I think so. I think Yorba Linda did something like that where it wasn't like joining a thing, but Pastor Robbins, one of the, it's not that he's good at tennis, which he is, but he's actually really good at teaching tennis. And so they would do a thing where they would just teach people how to play tennis. There was like a ministry. There's a couple of members who are really good at tennis, and they would just teach random people to play tennis. And that was kind of the outreach ministry that they did.
There was a guy. So this is along the same lines, but it's not sports. When years ago, I went to Singapore and I had the chance to like speak out there, and I met some of the young adults. And there was a guy who joined the church through League of Legends. Like it was like League of Legends ministry. They like the group would go play at a PC bang, and then they built a friendship with this guy. I remember his name is Leo. I still remember him. and he became friends with everybody, and they would play league together at the PC방. And then they invited him to church. He joined a Bible study, and so they would do like league day,
Yeah.
and then they would do Bible study. And then he became an Adventist, Christian Adventist, and he married one of the girls in the group.
Okay.
Like that's the success story, right?
I mean, that's what it
Like,
is, right?
And I think, just living a life of outreach through your own passions. Like
Right.
that's the most natural way to share with people and invite
It
people.
is. And I think for us, outreach is always confined to, seminars and the annual revelation, which, I mean, I'm not saying that's not, but like in the 21st century, for us, like there's so many different ways you can do this. Tennis, pickleball, League of Legends, watch parties. Like there's so many different ways you can witness. And we call them non-traditional, and I don't like that because I think this is more natural and traditional to reach people through your hobbies, through things that you're passionate about. It's so much more natural to bring people to church, to Jesus, than like a seminar in which they have to come to us to receive the information. It's just...
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
mean, any kind of outreach where it's based in a relationship is always better.
Right.
Like rather than any kind of cold calls, any type of like
Exactly.
just show up, I don't know who you are. But a friendship is always like the best way. And I've heard like these like stats that like by not unchurched people who would like a huge amount of people, like 85% would attend a church if somebody invited them. Like if a friend, a friend invited them.
Right.
So
And I think a lot of churches, when you ask them what their growth model is, it's like, essentially, we want our members to bring people they know because that relationship helps them to stick to the church. There's just no mechanism for them to do so. And this may be the perfect mechanism for many of our churches.
And to bring us full circle, this is why pickleball is the most Christian sport right now. So
All right.
my only question,
You may have changed my mind.
my only question for you, Jason, before we close is, are you going to try? Are you going to play?
I will say this. If I will try, maybe, but if my wife gets into pickleball, then
Game
I
changer.
will, yes.
Game changer, right?
Yeah, because that will be, we'll see. I'll keep you all updated.
So
Maybe
let's
it'll
see.
happen.
When West Coast Came have it, let's see if we can play a little bit.
All right, we'll see it. Yeah, we'll try to make that happen. Yeah. But thank you all for joining us for this conversation. We hope, we genuinely hope that this will have maybe made some churches to seriously think about using sports and pickleball and these things as a launching point for your evangelism. That would be amazing if that started happening in our churches.
I think I'm curious if anyone's listening, either on YouTube or whatever, like let us know if your church has some kind of sports ministry and
Sure.
what kind of ministry. And if you have a ministry of outreach that's not like a sports based one, but some kind of interest based one, it could be League of Legends, it could be like walking, it could be, I don't know. So if you have that, I'd love to see, I think it would be really cool to see like a bunch of churches sharing, oh yeah, we do this kind of ministry. We like, people are really into this, so we kind of do this and engage with the community through this kind of passion that we have. So if you are listening or watching and your church does something like that, we'd love to hear about what that is.
Absolutely. And again, as always, thank you for listening, for joining us for this podcast episode. We hope that you subscribe and that you'll join us for our next episode. Thank you.